There's been a rise in the number of people blaming many of the problems of today on women getting involved in politics. Personally, I'm all for women's right to vote, but there's part of this we haven't really thought through. Let's graph out the dimension of masculinity and femininity with the dimension of good and evil. For the past few thousand years, only men have been allowed to lead and make decisions, so we've only really incorporated the wisdom of this quadrant. Feminism makes the important argument that this quadrant hasn't been incorporated, and there's a lot there that could potentially advance human society. The one part that seems to be ignored is that we've spent the past few thousand years trying to minimize the influence of this quadrant right here. The tyrannical father, as it's put from a psychological perspective, has been clearly identified in our cultural narratives. It's Darth Vader, Voldemort, Sauron, or Hitler. We've really nailed down this archetype at a symbolic level that allows us to identify it in real life. However, this quadrant right here, not so much. From a psychological perspective, the feminine equivalent of the tyrannical father is the devouring mother, or the tendency for a source of nourishment and comfort for infants to actually prevent infants from developing into self-sustaining and autonomous human beings. Infantilization by the devouring mother is the complementary opposite of domination by the tyrannical father. On a societal level, the tyrannical father manifests as tyrants in general, regardless of gender even, and it seems to me that the devouring mother manifests as overbearing bureaucracies, filled with both men and women, creating overbearing regulations meant to protect us, but in effect preventing us from taking on any real sense of responsibility. So should women be allowed to vote? Of course they should. But we have to understand that the integration of a feminine perspective into the structure of the state is not a trivial process. It means that we must be as wary of the devouring mother of bureaucracies that infantilize us as much as we are wary of the tyrannical father of authoritarianism that asks far too much of us. Both manifest their own form of slavery, and they're perfectly capable of cooperating in the enslavement of human beings. Now, I'd actually argue that the relationship between masculinity and femininity in society is ultimately just a projection of the relationship between the masculine and feminine forces in each individual, but that's a whole different video.